Ciao, hi, hey guys. I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook as well. Still waiting for Facebook. Come on, Facebook. Ciao, hi, hey guys. It's your boy MKS here, back with another video. And as per usual, I'm recording on Facebook and YouTube because I want to make sure there's at least a copy somewhere. So I record on both just in case nowadays. But I suppose it could also hopefully expand the audience base, ideally. But I know I've got to do better at improving the quality of my videos. Anyway, as ever, on that note, I welcome your advice and any thoughts you have on football itself, Italian football itself, or anything else you want to comment. I welcome views from all different people, especially football fans, and in this case, yeah, here goes. I was a bit lazy today, as per usual. I know I'm very lazy, but I normally on Wednesday I like to do weights Wednesdays, where I lift barbells over my head. And I start from like just 10 kg or whatever, and then go up to 20, 30, 40 or whatever. Well, if I can, I don't always get to 40 or whatever, but I'm hoping to push myself to do that. But I think, I've missed, this is the third week, obviously, of January, and I've missed going to the gym again. So I was ready to go to the gym, and I had like Weetabix and bananas to give me energy to go to the gym. But I just got so demotivated, and I decided not to go in the end. Even though, I'm trying to play Monopoly and finish this game off that I started ages ago that we didn't get around to finishing. But I didn't manage to. I didn't even do that, and I didn't go to. I was going to say go to Monopoly and and I didn't manage to go to the gym. So it's been a bit of a nightmare. But and I got all these ideas, but I'm struggling to focus on one or two things at a time, and then be patient with the others. But anyway, I know, nice life story, cool story, life story. But just giving an update on, like I said, in February, hopefully, I don't commit to anything because I want to say from February or even from next week, from the 28th of January, the last Wednesday of January, I hope to focus on like every Wednesday going to do workouts, to go to do weights. But I don't know if I can commit to it, but I'm going to do my best anyway. Promise to myself and to others. But anyway, here goes. So these are pointers number 11 to 20. So number 11, I normally talk about how I'd love to make changes, and I said in part one about like what Italian soccer, football, or whatever you want to call it, can learn from other countries and club teams, national teams, and whatnot, and other sports teams, and business and the world and life itself. Generally, I have to mention generally that is, but genuinely as well. But I think I was going to mention a point, I've completely forgotten it. But I guess it's about making changes, and I think constantly improving. As a creature of habit, as you can probably tell, you see my videos, I do struggle to make changes, but I think it's important to make changes. I'd love to see Italian footy become more attacking, and I normally try and think of a different point, especially for point number 11. But I do struggle because I normally think of how I'd love to make changes, but the irony is I always stick to that idea. But talking about making changes in point number 11 itself. But that's what I'm going to say, is like analysing what makes a winning team. And again, I know I've talked about that before, but what makes a winning team? What separates winners, so to speak, winners from losers, so to speak, and that kind of thing. And even like in finals, what helps teams have more of a bottle to win finals, or whatever, have more nerves to win finals, basically. So people talk about this term bottling it, which I heard a few years ago. I don't know why why do we say bottling it? But unfortunately, Italian teams, just like others, really, to be fair, not only Italian teams, but Italian teams have bottled it quite a lot, maybe more than most. I shouldn't laugh, but I don't know whether to laugh or cry. But as a fan of Italian football, but unfortunately, Celtic has recently as well, as a fan of Celtic as well. But yeah, looking at what Italian football can do to change, I think like what if Italian football tries to do like Spanish tiki-taka, passing as a ball, 1-2 touch football and that kind of thing, tries different styles, which I talked about in part one, I know, but and yeah, tries out different things, as I said in part one, but becomes more attacking. And I'd love to see Italy produce great world-class players from a young age, especially with Juventus. I know I'm wearing their rival cap, but another thing I was thinking about is like talking about something different to cover is, or a different idea to cover at least. And I'm focusing this month on the topic of Italian football for this month, especially Juventus. Again, I know they're wearing their rival cap, but another thing is like how I get mixed up between Dubai and Qatar, but they have something where it's like a map of the world. You can call it a mock map of the world, or something like that, an imitation map of the world, or something like that, as a desert, and celebrities can buy their own slice of like Brazil or whatever, so to speak. Obviously not literally, but on this island, what they call Brazil or whatever, and wealthy celebrities. A while back, I heard this story. They buy that land from different countries, so it's a sort of miniature map of the world or whatever, basically. And I thought, what if Italian teams, or Italy generally, especially Juventus and especially in Turin, but all over Italy, encouraged sponsors to say, would you want to put your brand out there? And I suppose what they'd gain out of it is putting their brand out there. Another thing is, I think young players should be able to make mistakes and learn from trial and error, basically, as we would say here in the UK. I don't know what they'd call that in Italy, but basically learn from your mistakes. Some people say you learn better from your mistakes than your successes, like, although they don't feel as nice, but and I like things to be nice and easy, and I don't like making mistakes or failing. I think that is the way we learn. And like Bill Gates, for instance, said, success is a lousy teacher, because it teaches smart people to think you can never lose. And I know that's in business, but I think it could be applied to football or other areas of life as well. There's a lot of things that could overlap where you could learn, like you learn from your mistakes and things like that. I think it's similar in footy, soccer, or whatever you want to call it. Number 12, as I say, trial and error, making plenty of mistakes. And as I say, with the sponsor thing, I hope that point made sense. But basically, let's say Dubai, say we want to promote like Visit Dubai, or we want to promote a business networking event in Dubai, or we want to promote our country generally, similar with Qatar, UAE generally, Saudi, China, India, and other places. So they could say, we're going to sponsor an academy for Juventus, let's say, and it could, hopefully if the world talks about it, it would mean that they get their brand out there. Similar with companies like Apple, Amazon, Alibaba, Microsoft, IBM, or whatever other companies, Walmart, or whatever especially international companies, they might want to put their brand out there. But it could be like Visit Qatar, Visit UAE, or whatever, Visit Dubai, or whatever it might be, that they want to put their brand out there. So they might sponsor an academy for Juventus, for instance. And I dream for that, from a selfish point of view, to benefit Italian football, to help Italy to produce the next best players. So let's say Qatar might say, we're going to sponsor the Messi Academy in Italy, in Milan, or in Turin, Juventus, or whatever, or in some part of Italy, and I'd especially love for that for Juventus to produce good young players. Then they could slap their brand on that, so to speak, for want of a better way of putting it, so they get their brand out there more. It'd be worth them doing, which I suppose is the reason to sponsor things like, well, anything like soccer pitches or soccer teams or whatever. Number 13, I guess I often talk about my fears about whether I get to put my ideas into action, whether Italian footy will ever become world class, whether it's too stubborn to make changes. Because sometimes I do feel like the people who run it are really stubborn to make changes. Like Italian footy can be, I suppose, probably like me as well. I'm a creature of habit, as I say, and I'm stubborn with my diet, and very rebellious. I'm not sure why I say diets in the plural, but with my diet and things, I'm very rebellious. I don't drink water and things like that. I drink fizzy drinks or tea or things like that, especially tea, fizzy drinks when I can and whatnot, and that kind of thing. And I like to eat unhealthily, generally speaking. But yeah, I fear the people who run Italian football, without wanting to be too hypocritical, are not very flexible. They're a bit inflexible, if that's the right word. So I do feel like it's, for instance, or even Italian fans, like when it comes to like playing defensive football if a manager tries attacking football, um, the fans might not be very patient. The other thing is like playing youth, not giving young people opportunities. So it's all right having great academies, but if they don't play younger players and they're not given opportunities, then I don't think it really works. And from a selfish point of view, as I say, I want to benefit Italian football. I thought I'd focus on the selfish thing of benefiting Italian football because it's January, the first month of the year, which I talked about before. Like I think like symbolically look after number one, so to speak. But I hope they'll play at least 3 under 21 players, as I say, and hopefully to benefit. I hope I won't be arrogant in that, but hopefully it's something I can be proud of, like, and be part of my life's purpose. I'd rather say than legacy, but legacy, life's purpose, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, moving on, number 14, I hope they'll be able to find some of those problems. Like I, with becoming more attacking, they could still have good players in all possible positions. Someone said about Germany a while back, they said they like Germany because of the way they play and like how they have good players in all different areas of the pitch. And I think it would be good to see Italy do that, like have not just good defensive players, but also good attacking players, and vice versa. So having the best possible goalkeepers, defenders, and midfielders as well as strikers. So good players in all parts of the pitch, and hopefully it's producing so many great young players. So if we have injuries, we can still win. Hopefully, still have enough players to help us. Which I think is another thing Germany often does well. Like when they won the Euro in Euro '96, which was hosted in England. They spoiled the party by beating England in the semi-finals, but they had quite a few players who were injured, but they still managed to go all the way and win it. Moving on, number 15. I think if football's on the curriculum and like play football in schools and parks, and parents and teachers encourage their kids to, and whatnot, and kids generally to play football, and like older people can teach them and that kind of thing, and they can get the balance right between like child protection and safeguarding, or whatever you want to call it. As they call it here in the UK, and also enabling younger people to learn from older people. I think it'd be pretty cool. Number 16, another one I think about a lot is like committees, think tanks, and whatnot. As I say, I know I'm very repetitive, but at the same time, I think that it's because these ideas are like ones I'm very passionate about, even though my voice might be a bit monotone or whatever. But yeah, I do wonder. Sometimes I know I mentioned before in the past, so if you've seen my other videos, that I do wonder if I am slightly autistic or whatever. But yeah, I guess it would make sense with like my obsessions with football and things like that, which I've loved ever since I was young. And it would be quite an irony of someone who never made it pro, but hopefully helping Italy to become world class. But world class again, as it used to be. But I've heard that the best players don't always make the best managers, to be fair. But moving on, number 17, one of my imaginations is for Italy to win like 3 World Cups in a row. But it could be, if they win even more, that'd be even better. If they win 4 or whatever, I might be pushing it, but 5, 6 or 7, that'd be, or even 10 in a row or something like that would be amazing. But at the moment, it's just like, people might say, calm down, just got to win 1 first. But I mean, I kind of welcome it, but maybe it would get boring if we got ahead. Really, all I care about is if Italy wins more than the next team, so wins the most World Cups. And again, I know one I've mentioned quite a lot is like in friendlies, especially, and certainly, and even in Euros and the Olympics, and even Euros, and certainly friendlies. I think, or all the non-World Cup games, I think Italy should play younger players and fringe players and rest players, and give players opportunities to play and practice against other teams at international level, especially at top level. But even in World Cups, maybe playing 3 under 21 players, again learning from like Barcelona and Spain, which I talked about before. Like, how did they develop good young players, which is difficult because I suppose I'm not the most patient, and I'm sure most football fans, especially Italian football fans, similar with Celtic, I'm not the most patient, so wanting to win straight away and not develop over time, especially like I know with Celtic, like for instance, with the competition with Rangers, it's so close, the rankers as I call them, that they want to win right now. And I know I do it as well, but getting that balance right is a difficult one, but I love to see Italy produce so many great young players. And again, I'd love for like Qatar, Dubai, the UAE, China, India, America, maybe even Britain, England, Scotland, and basically all possible countries around the world to all have their own, sponsor their own academies for Italy, and like put their brand out there. And as I say, just like I think it's Dubai who has like that thing where you can buy a part of their island and it represents a certain part of the world. I'd love to see Italy do something similar, but with football, and academies, and like people like seeing who will sponsor like a Messi academy where players can try Messi skills, copy Lionel Messi's skills. Similar with Ronaldo, the other Ronaldo, the original R9, Pele, and other players in history, like copy their skills from watching videos on YouTube and that kind of thing. And again, trial and error. Sometimes it might take a while to practice those skills and for them to come off how you work. I've often thought in the past, like, if a player tried a skill and it didn't work, I wouldn't be that impressed. But if you try it and it doesn't work, you can try a different skill or whatever. Keep working out and practicing until it works out, hopefully. And sometimes I worry like if other countries could copy Italy, just like I say, Italy to copy and paste what other countries do. But if they practice so much, hopefully they'll be so quick. Another thing is, I think, before I move on to point number 18, I think that like hand signals and things like and talking to their teammates before a game and saying like, this is, so if I do something like if I tap my left eye, it means I'm going to pass long, or if I tap my right eye, it means I'm going to go short. Obviously, I'm going to injure yourself, but or if I raise my right arm, it means I'm going to go short. If I raise my left arm, it means I'm going to go long, or whatever. And you could change it each game. So even if the opposition thinks they've got you sussed out, then it doesn't mean they have. So normally, I guess if you're unpredictable to the opposition, I think it's a really good thing. A lot of creativity as well, which I think would be good for neurodivergent people to show what we could do in terms of which I normally talk about, and for people with mental health problems, like the method to the madness. So I'm talking about how neurodivergent people and people with mental health problems can show a positive side to, as a method to the madness and that kind of thing, and the gift of thinking differently, thinking outside the box. So the opposition hopefully won't know what you're going to do, but I suppose your teammates hopefully generally will. But sometimes people might be so creative, like Zidane or Ronaldinho, where people like, who knows what they're going to do next. So a bag of tricks, basically. So many different tricks that they can play. It'd be hard to imagine Celtic having those world-class players, but I know I'm trying to focus more on Italian football. But I'm sure there's another point I was going to mention, but I'm going to move on to point number 18. With great power comes great responsibility. So hopefully, with more funding, hopefully, Italian football can do a lot of good for developing nations and to make the world a better place generally through football, like fundraising. And hopefully FIFA and UEFA will reward Italian football, just like with Celtic, hopefully, with more investment, sponsorship money, and access to such, and like enabling to maybe that could be something like to bypass FFP, financial fair play rules, or things like that, and get more investment. Clubs should have to do a lot of good work for global causes to make the world a better place, and hopefully Italian football and Celtic could lead the way, therefore get more investment, which would be useful to build those academies, and for club teams to buy better players as well. I think that would be pretty cool. Number 19, I hope they'll be able to fundraise for things like STEM education and teaching and training for people in developing nations. And number 20, and lots of good causes like that, and helping like Africans to make robots, for instance, that can make life easier. So fundraising to do things like that for football. So hopefully there can be ethical and positive AI and robotics and that kind of thing, and apps. And on that hopefully positive note, I'm out. Peace and love.